Adrian's hand trembled as he pushed through the revolving glass doors of Sterling Industries, his father's billion-dollar empire. The cheap polyester shirt scratched against his skin, and the borrowed shoes pinched his feet. He'd never worn anything like this before. His usual wardrobe cost more than most people's monthly salary. "Move it, intern!" A woman in designer heels shoved past him, spilling her latte across his sleeve. She didn't even turn around. Adrian swallowed the anger rising in his throat and wiped the coffee with his hand. This was exactly what his father had warned him about. 3 weeks ago, sitting in their penthouse overlooking the city, his father had delivered an ultimatum that would change everything. "You're 18 now, Adrian. In 3 years, all of this becomes yours," his father had said, gesturing toward the skyline dotted with buildings bearing their family name. "But before I hand you an empire, you need to understand the people who make it run. Not the executives I introduce you to at galas, the real people, the ones who keep the lights on when nobody's watching." Adrian had laughed at first. "I know people, Dad. I've been around the company my whole life." His father's expression had turned grave. "No, son, you know masks. You know politeness motivated by fear and greed. You've never seen who these people really are when they think nobody important is watching." He'd leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Go undercover. Work as an intern under a fake name. 6 weeks. Find out who deserves to grow with this company and who's rotting it from the inside." Now, standing in the massive lobby where he'd played as a child, Adrian felt like a stranger. The security guard who used to sneak him candy didn't even glance his way. The receptionist who'd always complimented his school achievements was filing her nails, looking bored. "You're the new intern." She didn't look up. "Yes, I'm 3rd floor. Ask for Mr. Clark. Don't be late." She waved him away dismissively. Adrian's chest tightened as he rode the elevator up. He'd taken thousands of elevator rides in this building, always accompanied by executives eager to impress him. Now, squeezed into the corner by 3 employees discussing their weekend plans, he was invisible. Worse than invisible, irrelevant. The 3rd floor buzzed with activity. Dozens of employees hunched over computers in an open-plan office that hummed with keyboard clicks and muted phone conversations. Adrian scanned the room until his eyes landed on a man in an expensive suit leaning against a glass-walled office. His smile was wide and his gestures animated as he talked to someone inside. "You must be the intern." The voice came from behind him, cold and sharp. Adrian turned to face a tall man with slicked back hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Clark." Adrian had seen his employee file. Top performer for 3 consecutive years. His father spoke highly of him. "Yes, sir. I'm Alex." Adrian caught himself. He'd practiced his fake name 100 times. "Alex Morrison." "Well, Alex Morrison, let me be crystal clear about how things work here." Clark circled him slowly, like a predator assessing prey. "You're at the bottom. You speak when spoken to. You do exactly what you're told. You don't question, you don't improvise, and you certainly don't waste my time with stupid questions. Understood?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Your desk is over there." Clark pointed to a cramped corner near the supply closet. "Jennifer will show you the filing system. And Alex?" He leaned in close enough that Adrian could smell his expensive cologne. "Don't screw up. Interns are replaceable. We go through about 20 a year." The first week crawled by like torture. Adrian filed documents, fetched coffee, and absorbed an endless stream of condescension. But he watched. He observed. He took mental notes of every interaction, every moment when people thought nobody important was looking. Clark was worse than Adrian had imagined. On his 3rd day, Adrian witnessed him screaming at a young analyst named Marcus over a minor error in a report. "Are you stupid or just lazy?" Clark's voice echoed across the office as Marcus stood there, face burning red. "This is garbage. A child could do better work. You're wasting the company's money with your incompetence." Marcus's hands shook as he took back the report. "I'm sorry, Mr. Clark. I'll fix it immediately." "You'll fix it on your own time. Stay late. I don't care if you have plans." Clark tossed the papers at Marcus's feet. "Pick those up and get out of my sight." Adrian's fist clenched under his desk. Every instinct screamed at him to intervene, to reveal who he was and put Clark in his place. But his father's words echoed in his mind. 6 weeks. See the truth. As Marcus bent to gather the scattered papers, his hands still trembling, Adrian quietly moved to help him. Don't, Marcus whispered. It'll just make it worse. Clark hates when people show him up. He managed a weak smile. Thanks, though. Not many people would even think about it. That's insane, Adrian said. The way he talks to you, that's just Tuesday. Marcus shrugged, but Adrian could see the resignation in his eyes. You get used to it or you leave. Most people need the paycheck more than they need their dignity. That evening, as Adrian was leaving late after Clark had dumped an extra project on his desk to teach him time management, he passed by the janitorial closet. The sound of humming caught his attention. Inside, an older black man with silver hair and kind eyes was organizing cleaning supplies with the care most people reserve for precious artifacts. Working late? The man's voice was warm, his smile genuine. Yeah, you too? Every night, son. Been doing it for 32 years. He extended a weathered hand. Samuel Washington. Alex Morrison. The lie felt bitter on Adrian's tongue, especially in the face of such authentic kindness. Well, Alex Morrison, let me give you some advice. Samuel's eyes twinkled. This place can grind you down if you let it. All the deadlines, all the pressure, all the people climbing over each other to get one rung higher. But you know what I've learned in 3 decades? What's that? The people at the top aren't any happier than the people at the bottom. Happiness comes from how you treat folks when nobody's keeping score. Samuel patted his shoulder. Don't let them make you hard, young man. Stay soft. Stay kind. It's harder, but it's worth it. Adrian felt a lump forming in his throat. Thank you, Samuel. That means a lot. Anytime, son. My door's always open. Well, my closet's always open. Samuel chuckled at his own joke. Over the following days, Adrian found himself gravitating towards Samuel during breaks. They'd share coffee in the break room, and Samuel would tell stories about the company's history, about employees who'd come and gone, about the small acts of kindness that had sustained him through decades of thankless work. One afternoon, Adrian overheard a conversation that made his heart clench. Samuel, you can't keep doing this, a young woman named Lisa was saying, trying to push an envelope back into Samuel's hands. Lisa, your mother needs that surgery. I've got savings. You've already helped me so much. I can't take more of your money. Child, I'm an old man. What am I saving for? A fancier broom? Samuel's laugh was gentle. Your mother raised you right. Let me help. It's what we're supposed to do for each other. Adrian watched as Lisa broke down crying, hugging Samuel tight. Later, he checked Samuel's employee file. The man made barely above minimum wage, yet he was giving away his savings to help a coworker he barely knew. That night, Adrian called his father from his cramped studio apartment. How's the experiment going? His father asked. It's not an experiment, Dad. These are real people with real problems, and some of them are suffering because of managers who shouldn't have power over anyone. Adrian's voice cracked. There's this guy, Clark, your top performer. He's a tyrant. He humiliates people daily. He steals ideas from his team and presents them as his own. I've seen him do it 3 times this week. And what else have you seen? Adrian paused. I've seen a janitor give away money he doesn't have. I've seen people too scared to speak up about harassment. I've seen employees sabotage each other for promotions. But I've also seen people trying to do good when nobody's watching. Then you're learning. Keep watching, Adrian. The truth reveals itself to those patient enough to wait. The next week brought fresh revelations. Adrian was transferred to work with the reception and security team for a few days. That's when he met Hannah Chen, the front desk receptionist who dismissed him so curtly on his first day. Coffee run, Clark barked at Adrian one morning. Everyone's usual orders, and don't screw it up like last time. Adrian bit back a response and headed for the elevator. As he passed Hannah's desk, he noticed her frowning at her computer screen, her fingers flying across the keyboard with fierce concentration. Everything okay? He asked. She jumped, quickly minimizing the window. Fine, just spam emails. But Adrian had glimpsed something in that split second. Code. Security protocols. His interest peaked. He made a mental note to pay more attention. Over the next few days, Adrian noticed Hannah arriving early and staying late, always glued to her screen during slow moments. She'd minimize windows whenever anyone approached, always with that same neutral expression. On Thursday evening, Adrian was working late again when he heard voices coming from the server room. He recognized Hannah's voice, tense and urgent, speaking to someone on her phone. "I've isolated it, but we need to patch the vulnerability now. They've been probing our defenses for weeks. If they get in..." She paused. "No, I haven't told anyone yet. I wanted to be sure before I raise the alarm. I'm implementing a temporary fix now, but IT needs to..." "Yes, I know I'm just a receptionist, but I have a degree in cybersecurity, and I know what I'm seeing." Adrian's jaw dropped. He waited until Hannah emerged from the server room, looking exhausted before approaching her. "I overheard," he said simply. Hannah's face went pale. "Look, I know I shouldn't have accessed the servers without authorization, but you stopped an attack?" She nodded slowly. "A sophisticated one. They were using a phishing scheme to harvest credentials, building access slowly to avoid detection. I noticed patterns in the spam emails that didn't make sense. When I dug deeper," she shrugged, "I couldn't just ignore it." "Why didn't you tell anyone? You could be a hero." Hannah's laugh was bitter. "I'm a receptionist, Alex. Nobody listens to receptionists. If I raise the alarm and I'm wrong, I look paranoid. If I'm right and they ask how I found out, I have to admit I accessed systems I shouldn't have touched. Either way, I probably get fired." She met his eyes. "I didn't do it for credit. I did it because it needed to be done." Adrian felt a surge of respect so powerful it nearly overwhelmed him. "You're remarkable, Hannah. Truly remarkable." She looked startled by his sincerity. "I'm just doing what anyone should do. The right thing doesn't need applause." But Adrian's growing admiration for employees like Samuel and Hannah was constantly balanced by disgust at others. He watched as a marketing analyst named Derek deliberately sabotaged a colleague's presentation by corrupting his files the night before a major pitch. He observed as two team leads spent more energy undermining each other than actually working. He saw Clark take credit for Marcus's idea in a meeting with executives, while Marcus sat there silently, shoulders slumped in defeat. The tension came to a head during Adrian's 5th week. He was in the break room when he heard Clark's voice booming from the hallway. "Somebody explain to me why the executive bathroom looks like a disaster zone." Samuel appeared, pushing his cleaning cart, moving as quickly as his aging body would allow. "I'm sorry, Mr. Clark. I'll get to it right away. I had to deal with a spill in the cafeteria and..." "I don't want your excuses, old man. I want results." Clark grabbed Samuel's cart and deliberately tipped it over, sending supplies clattering across the floor. "Maybe if you spent less time chatting and more time working, you'd do your job properly." The break room had gone silent. A dozen employees watched through the glass wall, but nobody moved. Nobody said anything, except Adrian. "That's enough." His voice was quiet but firm as he stepped into the hallway. Clark turned, his face twisted with annoyance. "Excuse me? I said that's enough. Samuel works harder than anyone in this building, and you know it. This isn't about a bathroom. This is about you being a bully." Clark's expression shifted from annoyance to cold fury. "You have no idea who you're talking to, intern." "Oh, I think I do. I've watched you for 5 weeks. You steal ideas. You humiliate people. You take credit for other people's work. You're a terrible manager and an even worse human being." The color drained from Clark's face before flooding back in an angry red. "You're done. Pack your things. You're fired." "You can't fire me." "Watch me." Clark pulled out his phone. "I'm calling security right now." Adrian felt his heart pounding, but he held his ground, helping Samuel pick up the scattered cleaning supplies. Around them, employees had emerged from offices, drawn by the commotion. Some had their phones out. Adrian caught Marcus's eye. The analyst gave him a small nod of support. "I hope you enjoyed your very brief career," Clark hissed. "You'll never work in this industry again." "We'll see about that," Adrian replied calmly, though his hands were shaking. That night, Adrian called his father. "I'm done. I've seen everything I need to see." "Tell me." Adrian spent 2 hours detailing everything: the corruption, the cruelty, but also the unexpected heroes, the janitor's generosity, The receptionist's silent protection of the company? The employees too afraid to speak up against a toxic culture that rewarded backstabbing and punished integrity. I want to fix this, Dad. Not someday when I inherit the company. Now. His father was quiet for a long moment. Then let's fix it. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Be ready. The next morning, Adrian arrived at Sterling Industries in his real clothes for the first time in 6 weeks. Designer jeans, expensive watch, confident stride. The transformation was jarring. The security guard who'd ignored him for weeks suddenly snapped to attention. Mr. Sterling, we weren't expecting you, sir. I'm here for my father's announcement, Adrian said simply, walking past him. The building buzzed with nervous energy. Word had spread that the CEO was calling an emergency all-staff meeting. Rumors flew, layoffs, restructuring, acquisitions. Nobody knew for sure, but everyone was terrified. Adrian made his way to the 3rd floor. Clark was pacing in his office, barking orders into his phone. When he saw Adrian through the glass wall, he froze mid-sentence. The phone slipped from his hand. Adrian allowed himself a small smile and kept walking. The auditorium was packed. Every employee from the main office had been summoned. Adrian stood backstage with his father, peering through the curtain at the sea of anxious faces. He spotted Samuel in the back, standing quietly in his maintenance uniform. Hannah was near the front, her expression guarded. Marcus sat with his team, looking resigned to bad news. And there was Clark, 3rd row, his usual confidence visibly shaken. Adrian's father stepped up to the podium, and the room fell silent. Thank you all for gathering on short notice. I know there's been speculation about why I've called this meeting. His voice carried the authority of a man who'd built an empire from nothing. I'm here to discuss the future of Sterling Industries. Specifically, I'm here to discuss character. Confused murmurs rippled through the audience. 6 weeks ago, I sent someone into this company undercover. An intern, working among you, watching, learning, seeing who you really are when you think nobody important is looking. He paused, letting the revelation sink in. That intern was my son, Adrian. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, heads swiveling. Adrian took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. The difference was striking. The cheap intern clothes were gone. In their place, the unmistakable bearing of wealth and authority. But it was the look in his eyes that had changed most. These weren't the eyes of a spoiled heir playing pretend. These were the eyes of someone who'd seen the truth and was ready to act on it. Hi, everyone. Some of you know me as Alex Morrison, the intern who couldn't make coffee right and asked too many questions. A few nervous laughs. But yes, I'm Adrian Sterling, and for the past 6 weeks, I've had the privilege of seeing this company the way most of you see it every day. Clark had gone white as a sheet. Several other employees Adrian had observed closely looked sick. I've learned that titles don't determine character. Salary doesn't determine worth. Position doesn't determine who's truly valuable. Adrian's voice grew stronger. I watched a janitor give his savings to help a colleague's mother get surgery. I watched a receptionist stop a cyberattack on her own time, without asking for recognition or reward. I watched good people suffer in silence because they were too afraid to speak up against bullies and thieves. He locked eyes with Clark. I also watched managers steal credit for their team's work. I watched them humiliate employees over minor mistakes while covering up their own major failures. I watched them create a culture of fear where people are too terrified to show basic human kindness because it might be seen as weakness. Adrian turned back to address the full room. That ends today. Starting now, Sterling Industries will be led by people who understand that true leadership means building others up, not tearing them down. It means protecting the vulnerable, not exploiting them. It means creating value through integrity, not manipulation. His father stepped forward again. Therefore, effective immediately, we're making several changes. Mr. Clark, your employment is terminated pending a full investigation into your conduct. You'll be escorted from the building today. Clark shot to his feet. This is ridiculous. I've delivered results for 3 years. You can't. I can, and I am, Adrian's father said coldly. Results at the cost of human dignity aren't results we want. Security guards materialized at Clark's sides. As they led him toward the exit, He shot Adrian a look of pure hatred. Adrian met his gaze calmly. He'd spent 6 weeks watching this man's cruelty. He felt no guilt about this moment. Additionally, his father continued, several other employees who've demonstrated patterns of misconduct will be placed on performance improvement plans with immediate oversight. Derek Martinez, James Wheeler, and Sandra Costa, please meet with HR after this meeting. The 3 employees in question sank lower in their seats as hundreds of eyes turned toward them. Now for the good news, Adrian said, taking back the microphone. His heart was pounding, but his voice was steady. Hannah Chen, could you stand up, please? Hannah looked around nervously before slowly rising from her seat. Hannah stopped a sophisticated cyber attack on our company, working on her own initiative, without any expectation of reward. She has a degree in cybersecurity, but has been working reception because that's where we had an opening? Adrian smiled at her shocked expression. Effective immediately, Hannah is being promoted to Director of Cybersecurity with a full team and the resources she needs to protect our company properly. Your salary will reflect your actual value to this organization. Hannah's hands flew to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks as the auditorium erupted in genuine, spontaneous applause. Her colleagues hugged her. Even people who didn't know her clapped, moved by the justice of the moment. Samuel Washington, Adrian called out. The old janitor looked around in confusion, pointing at himself as if to say, me? Samuel, please come up here. Samuel made his way slowly down the aisle, clearly bewildered. When he reached the stage, Adrian shook his hand firmly. This man has worked for Sterling Industries for 32 years. He's been invisible to most of us. Just someone who empties the trash and mops the floors. But Samuel has given everything to this place. Not just his labor, but his heart. I watched him give away money he desperately needed to help a colleague's family. I watched him show kindness to an intern everyone else treated like garbage. I watched him maintain his dignity and humanity in an environment that tried daily to strip both away. Samuel's eyes were wet. His weathered hands trembled. Samuel, we're offering you immediate retirement with a full pension and a substantial bonus. But before you retire, we'd like you to serve for 1 year as our employee welfare advisor. Your job will be to help us build a culture where people actually take care of each other, where kindness isn't punished, where integrity is rewarded. We need your wisdom, Samuel. Will you help us? The old man could barely speak. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Adrian said gently. Help us be better. Yes, Samuel whispered, then louder. Yes, I'll help however I can. The applause this time was thunderous. People were standing, cheering. Adrian saw Marcus wiping his eyes. Lisa, the young woman Samuel had helped, was sobbing openly. Even the stoic employees who usually maintain professional distance were visibly moved. Adrian's father returned to the microphone. These changes are just the beginning. We're conducting a full cultural audit of every department. We're implementing anonymous reporting systems so employees can flag misconduct without fear. We're restructuring compensation to reward genuine leadership, not just results achieved through bullying and fear. Sterling Industries will be a place where good people want to work, not just a place where desperate people feel trapped. I know some of you are skeptical, Adrian added. You've heard promises before, but I spent 6 weeks living your reality. I felt what you feel. I saw what you see, and I'm telling you now as someone who will one day lead this company that we're going to do better. We have to do better, because a company is only as good as the people who care when no one is watching. He scanned the crowd, making eye contact with as many employees as possible. To everyone who's been suffering in silence, grinding through each day, wondering if anyone notices your efforts or cares about your struggles, we see you now. We're listening, and we're going to fix this together. The meeting ended with a standing ovation. As employees filed out, many stopped to shake Adrian's hand or Samuel's. Hannah was surrounded by well-wishers. Marcus approached Adrian with tears in his eyes. Thank you, he said simply. You have no idea what this means to people like me. I think I do, Adrian replied. I watched Clark humiliate you. That should never have happened. You're talented, Marcus. Actually talented, not fake talented, like Clark pretending to be smart by stealing your ideas. We're going to make sure your work gets the recognition it deserves. Marcus nodded, unable to speak, and moved on. As the auditorium emptied, Adrian stood with his father and Samuel on the stage. "You did good, son," his father said quietly. "You saw what needed to be seen." "I saw more than I wanted to see," Adrian admitted. "I had no idea how bad it was, how many good people were suffering while terrible people thrived." Samuel put a hand on Adrian's shoulder. "The hardest part ain't seeing the truth, son. It's having the courage to act on it. You did that today. You gave voice to people who've been silent for years. Don't underestimate what that means." "I couldn't have done it without you, Samuel. You showed me what real integrity looks like." The old man smiled. "I just did what my mama taught me. Treat people right, especially when it costs you something. The world tries to make that complicated, but it ain't. It's simple." As Adrian walked through the building afterward, the change was palpable. Employees met his eyes now. They smiled. They said hello, not with the false deference they'd shown when they knew he was the heir, but with genuine warmth. He'd earned something far more valuable than their fear or their flattery. He'd earned their respect. That evening, back in his real apartment overlooking the city, Adrian stood at the window watching the sun set over his father's empire. Soon it would be his empire. But now he understood the weight of that responsibility in a way he never could have from boardrooms and galas. An empire built on broken people wasn't an empire worth having. His phone buzzed. A text from Hannah. "Thank you for seeing me, for believing me. I won't let you down." Another from Marcus. "First day in years I didn't dread coming to work tomorrow." One from Lisa. "Samuel is like a father to me. What you did today changed his life, changed all our lives. Thank you." Adrian smiled and set down his phone. His father was right. He'd needed to see the truth. But more than that, he'd needed to feel it, to live it, to understand that the people at the bottom weren't different from the people at the top. They were just people, trying to survive, hoping someone would notice when they did good, fearing no one would care when they were hurt. Now he knew, and knowing changed everything. If you found yourself moved by Adrian's journey or inspired by Samuel and Hannah's stories, make sure you hit that like button. Drop a comment sharing what you would do if you went undercover in your workplace. And subscribe to see more powerful stories about courage, justice, and the triumph of human decency over corporate cruelty. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who need to hear them. Share this with someone who's fighting their own battle against workplace injustice. Sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference.